I've got Gabe Dixon of Tedeschi Trucks Band and the Gabe Dixon Band, formerly of Gabe Dixon Band. And now you've got incredible solo stuff. You've toured with Paul McCartney. You toured with Supertramp, right?
That's right. Yeah, for a couple tours. Yeah.
John Hellowell. Love that guy.
You know John?
I interviewed John. John's a great guy.
Oh, I love him too, man. What a sweetheart and a funny guy, an amazing sax player. I really like his solo stuff, actually, like the out records he put out just with him in a band. It's pretty great.
And now he's with Mandoki Soulmates, and I got to interview them up in New York for Grammy Week when they came to the Beacon Theater, and that's how I got to know John a little bit.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about you. Um, uh, where were you born?
I was actually born in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is about an hour and 15 minutes south of Nashville.
Okay.
So I grew up in Nashville. Um,
So it's
so
pretty easy. Do you feel like because you were born in the Nashville area that you kind of have a little bit of a leg up because you're already in that music scene a little bit and you have some advantages being in Nashville as opposed to being in a small rural town elsewhere, having to try to get yourself to Nashville?
I guess maybe it seemed like more being a musician and a songwriter seemed like more of a reality, like a viable career for me as a kid. Like people weren't like questioning it and saying like, "Oh, well, you're crazy. When are you going to get a real job?" My parents were very supportive of it, and it was all around me. Got into a band when I was young and took music lessons at Blair School of Music all through elementary school and middle school and high school. So, but it was awesome being here because Nashville had this reputation for being like country music place, but I was seeing a side of Nashville that was like Edgar Meyer and at Blair School of Music playing bass, and like Bela Fleck and the Flecktones were playing like small festivals downtown when I was a kid. And so I saw this kind of like quirky musician side of Nashville that maybe other people didn't see. So it kind of gave me permission to try to excel, to be a musician.
Wait, so go back. You mentioned that you were in music school through elementary, middle, and high school. So you got bit by the music bug pretty early.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How did you
Yeah.
know like what avenue you wanted to go? Did you explore a music school, different instruments, and maybe doing some vocal lessons and kind of finding what it is that you wanted to do, what
I
your
mean,
passion was?
I think my parents just always recognized a sensitivity to music. I was 3 years old, and we'd go see the symphony in the park, and I'd be up like conducting the orchestra, and like just whatever was around. The instrument we happened to have that was the most like accessible to me in the house was the piano. So as soon as I could reach the keys, I was always like trying to play. And I just was curious and like felt, like I could express myself with music. So when I was 7, they signed me up for lessons at Blair School of Music, which is like Vanderbilt's music school. So I was learning like classical stuff all the whole time I was there. But when I was 10, 11, I really started jumping into their record collection because it's the one we had in the house, which had, Beatles and Elton John and, Joe Cocker and Paul Simon and Ray Charles and,
The good
and
stuff.
yeah, a lot
We
of the
dub that
stuff.
the good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think too. So it just kind of just kept on going from there, finding inspiration and trying to copy stuff I loved. And, so that's how it went early on.
So you started out right in six shooter. Was that your first band?
That was a band that, when I was 12, there was an ad for like auditions for a band they were putting together in Nashville. And my mom saw it. She was like, go audition. So I did. And I didn't really know what I was getting into, but it turned out to be basically like a teen country boy band
Oh wow.
that got signed to, Curb Records. and was like this minor phenomenon in the Southeast and the Midwest for a certain period of time until it kind of fizzled out a few years later. But it was this early look into music industry, and it gave me some experience playing in the studio and playing on tour. Even though, I wasn't a major fan of the music we were playing, it was a freaking exciting thing for a 12, 13, 14,
Oh,
15
sure.
year old to be
Yeah.
playing in front of crowds and, getting to like live out my rock star fantasies.
Gotta climb that ladder somehow and gain the experience. And then that was able to take you to creating the Gabe Dixon Band. How did you create the Gabe Dixon Band? And how old from that time period of when you were in 6-shooter to Gabe Dixon Band? What did that look like?
I played in a bunch of different bands all throughout high school, and then went down to Miami to keep studying music at the University of Miami. And while I was there, I met John O'Ricks and Winston Harrison and a couple other guys, and we formed this band because I'd been writing a bunch of songs, and I'd started playing solo one summer after sophomore year in college. I started playing at Tootsie's Orchid Lounge down in Nashville, Tennessee, like in the back room, just Monday through Thursday, just me by myself for tips. And I do all kinds of covers, but then I throw in a few originals. So I'd been writing songs, and I was just going to do that same thing in Miami. And a couple of the guys were like, "Hey, if you want a band, we'll join you on your songs and stuff." So that's kind of how it started. And then from there, we all graduated, moved up to New York, got a record deal with Warner Brothers Records, and then toured around for a while and kept it going and did some other deals and just played all over the country for a long time.
And then I love Find My Way. I love your voice. I think your voice is it's so unique and beautiful. The tone of it is just fun. It's really fun. And Find My Way was in the movie The Proposal. So that was cool that you got your song to be in the Sandra Bullock, Ryan Reynolds proposal movie.
Yeah, that was fun.
What did that feel like to you? Was that like kind of a milestone for you in your career?
Yeah, I don't think I realized what a big deal it was at the time. I was just, I went to the theater to watch it, of course, and it was kind of an amazing feeling, like, wow, this is special. I've seen, but so many people have kind of discovered what I'm doing through that. I kind of just I love that it sort of exists for all time there. Like I'm like on the plane, like flipping through the movies in the seat back, and then it's like, oh, there's the proposal. People still say, hey, I heard you in the proposal. And it's been like over 10 years now since that movie came out.
Right.
But it was number one at the box office when it came out, so it kind of had a ripple effect. I was grateful for it, for sure.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love I went through a lot of your videos. I have to do research, and I wanted to hear some of your stuff that you were doing. And I really love your vocal tone. I've kind of fallen in love with it. So there you go. New fan right here. Tell me a little bit about how you got into Tedeschi Trucks Band. Was that something that kind of fell in your lap, or did you go after that? What happened there?
It fell in my lap, and it wasn't meant to be for as long as it has been, honestly. Like I mean, I've been a fan of both of Susan and Derek and that whole band forever. I mean, the first time I heard Derek was 2002 at Atlanta Music Midtown Fest. And then my band opened for his band on a few shows. So the first time I ever heard him, I was like, this is my favorite guitar player I've ever heard of all time, but a weird thing started happening in like 2016, 17, 18. People kept mentioning to me, like people I'd be writing with or touring with, David Ryan Harris, Oliver Wood, Ted Pecchio's bass player, who all are friends with Derek and Susan. They were just like, I don't know what you would do with them, but you got to do something with Derek and Susan because I don't know, because you guys would jive really well. And so at the end of 2018, I got a call saying that their keyboard player Kofi Burbridge was in the hospital. He was
Mm.
having a heart surgery. Would you like to sub for Kofi for a couple months while he gets well? And I was like, that would be a dream, because I love that band, and it'd be pretty intimidating because everybody's so good, in that band. But yeah, I'll jump in and pretend to be Kofi for a couple months, um, and then he didn't get better, and he eventually he passed away, and they invited me to stay in the band, and so and not only that, but they have continued to invite me in to do what it is that I do, which is write songs and even sing lead on some stuff, so that's been a really it's been a really great experience being in that band, even though the circumstances of me joining were not great. I'm happy that it sort of has all like shaken out in a as graceful a way as it could, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Tough circumstance there, but then you had this opportunity, and then you're kind of jumping into this, right? And then COVID hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people that I've talked to when COVID hit gave them the opportunity to really work in their home studio to create. Did you get extra creative during COVID, or did you kind of take a pause?
I definitely got extra creative. I was doing a lot of live streams from my house, just at my piano.
Yes.
Surprise! Like I was doing one every week for a while, and every month, and um, it was really fun. And I wrote a lot of stuff. I wrote some stuff that I released on my own, and then we, Mike Madison had this great idea. Mike's one of the singers for Tedeschi Trucks Band, and
Mhm.
had this great idea for a concept record for that band, and say, about the Layla Majnun story. And so we just started all writing independently and thinking about how to write to this story. Um, and I ended up writing a few songs and a few starts of songs that eventually got together with the people in TTV and at Derek and Susan's farm, and we wrote a bunch of songs. And I wrote this one song by myself that I wasn't sure would go with whether they would like it or not, called "I Am the Moon," and I sent it to them, and they loved it. They were over the moon about it. Susan was, sorry for the pun,
Mm,
uh
that's great.
Susan was just like, it really moved her a lot, and we ended up recording it, making it the title of the Tedeschi Trucks Band record that came out. It was a 4 album thing.
Wow.
And I kept writing my own songs and putting them out. So in the like summer of 2022, by that time everything was kind of opened back up, and so I went out and opened the shows with my trio, which is now my buddy Randy Schrager and my friend Dan Asher. We opened the shows for Tedeschi Trucks Band in Los Lobos that summer, and I got to you know present my record, which was Lay It On Me, which had come out, and in addition, the I Am the Moon record from Tedeschi Trucks Band. So it was
That's special to have people that you work with to allow you to be creative and have kind of put your own stamp on things, because you don't always get that. People don't always get that. And ego aside, and staying very humble and allowing the people that you work with to participate in that way. Kudos to them, because that's amazing.
I agree. I was just thinking about that this morning. A lot of people I've worked with, they're on this track of it's their, if I'm going to play with them, it's going to be fully to support their music, to play the parts that they recorded, but Derek and Susan really do make an honest and earnest attempt to have it be a band, have it be to like draw on everyone's strengths. And I that's rare. You're right. That's really rare, and I really appreciate it. Honestly, it's part of the reason I'm still in the band, because it's so welcoming, and like in a industry with so many egos, like the lack of egos makes me feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
important to have that these days, you know? So now
Yeah.
you're going out on your own tour and doing your own thing. You're going to be coming to Ram's Head on stage in Annapolis in December. What
Yeah.
can somebody expect that hasn't seen you before? If they're going to go to a Gabe Dixon show, they're sitting there, and Ram's Head on stage, if people don't know, is kind of almost like a kind of like a dinner theater. There's tables all around the stage. Been there many, many times, brought people on stage there,
Yeah.
and they're eating, they're drinking, they're having a good time. It's incredibly intimate. It's
Hmm.
a way to have almost that intimate moment with artists up close and personal that you really wouldn't get at any other venue. What can people expect going there to see you?
I mean, you're gonna hear a lot of my songs. Obviously, I've been writing songs for like 20 something years, so, and releasing records. And you're gonna hear me talk a lot more than you do when you just listen to me on record and see a Tedeschi Trucks Band show or whatever. Um, there might be a sing along or two,
Hmm,
maybe,
nice.
and but mostly it's going to be just me singing my songs and maybe talking about them, and trying to make, lift people up. That's the main thing.
That's
And
great.
I love that venue too. I've played it probably 5 times, and
Great venue.
headlining it, opening for people there, you know, and every time I've ever played there, I've enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Are you going to do any holiday songs because it's December, or are you leaving that off the playlist?
You
Just one.
know, I will. I'll definitely do holiday stuff. It's not going to be like a full on holiday show, but
Right.
I'll probably sprinkle some in just because I have recorded some, and like they're out there to listen to. Some original songs that I've written. My buddy Phil Madera, who's a great songwriter, he actually just released this thing called the Mercyland Christmas Sessions, and it's, collaborations all over the map. I mean, I have a song on there, Tommy Sims, like they're like so many great people on this record.
Wow.
But song that he and I wrote is coming out next week, so I'll probably do that one. It's called Keeping Christmas, and then maybe a couple holiday covers, and then like I've got a Christmas EP I put out a few years ago that got a couple originals, so I'll throw some in.
Oh, that's fun. That's really fun. Yeah.
Hopefully so. Yeah,
I
I'll
think
have
people
fun.
will enjoy that.
I know I'll have fun.
Well,
Yeah.
I just to tell you how small of a world this is. I did put out on social media that I was going to be talking to you because I always like to pump people up and get people excited for the next interview. And we have a mutual friend. You've
Oh,
actually played on his album before, Mark Hopkins.
oh yeah. Oh, I love Mark. I, he interviewed me one time.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did. I watched that. I did.
So,
Yeah.
Mark.
Mark Hopkins. Mark Hopkins is a great guy, local here in Maryland, an incredible musician. He loves you, speaks very highly of you. And so of course I had to call him and talk to him about, you and what was that all about. So that's really cool that you're able to collab with different people, different
Yeah.
states, different genres of music. So
I just try to open my I used to be a lot more rigid about what I did, and if it's not my music and my name, and like I'll then I'm not going to do it, and like lately I just remember, I think of this because we just opened for the Eagles in Atlanta,
yeah,
Tedeschi Trucks Band did, and Vince Gill is like playing, he's in the Eagles,
yeah,
and and I remember him talking a few years ago about how he's just stopped being so precious about like who he plays with. He's like, I'll play with anybody. I'll play anybody. And that's how it is in Nashville. He'll play anybody's benefit. He'll play if he just likes to play music, and like that was really inspiring to me, And so I kind of feel that way too. I if it's inspiring music and it's people I love, I just want to be there and making it better, and hopefully, and sharing in that expression, whatever it is,
That's amazing. I always ask people the same question. I want to know what your Goosey moment is. And by that, I mean, when you think back on your career and you go, oh, wow, I've got the goosebumps all up and down my arms because I can't believe this is my life right now, or this is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. What is Gabe Dixon's Goosey moment?
I mean, I have a couple. I have a few, but I'll list a couple of them, and they're tied together because they both were at Madison Square Garden in New
Ah,
York
nice.
City. The first moment like that was in 2001. I was in Paul McCartney's band that year, and he sort of helped organize this like benefit for the firefighters after 9/11. And I was a very young guy who had just played on his record that year, and I was in the band and I was playing with him the songs that we'd recorded for the record, but also like some Beatles songs. And at one point we were playing Let It Be, and Paul was playing keys and singing, and I was playing Wurlitzer and singing backgrounds, and Billy Joel was right next to me playing the organ, and Eric Clapton was playing guitar, and Paul's awesome band, Abel Boreal Jr. on drums, and Rusty Anderson and Will Lee was playing bass, and everybody was up there singing along, like Sheryl Crow was there, and I was just like, and the firefighters were in there, and it's this beautiful moment. That was the biggest one. And then I think it kind of came full circle this year, just a couple months ago, when we played Madison Square Garden with Tedeschi Trucks Band, and I was up there singing lead on a song that I wrote in front of a sold out Madison Square Garden show, with the greatest band ever. And my family were there, and Nora Jones sat in, and Trey Anastasio sat in, who I'd been a fan of for such a long time. And it just felt to me like almost like I'd arrived, in a weird way. And I don't know, those are just the first two things that come to my mind.
Those are good Goosies, Gabe Dixon. Those are good Goosies. Wow. It's almost like you can feel that emotion in you coming through when you tell about those Goosey moments. That's pretty amazing to be able to, it's almost like full circle moment right there.
Yeah. It
Pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. Well, people can get tickets to see you at ramsheadpresents.com. And you can go to, is it GabeDixon.com?
Yeah.
GabeDixon.com to see all of the tour dates and check out his new music and look at all the stuff that he's doing, and get to know Gabe, because this is amazing. I mean, you're doing some great stuff, and I love your voice. I love it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you doing the research and everything, and talking to me.
Yeah.
Fun show.
Thank you so much.